Whatever.
Go Thursday. Meet you here at 10.
Good morning, all. Welcome to the joint Parks O&M Committee for April 22nd. We need approval for the minutes of last meeting, Mr. Casino. All right, Mr. Bruno, second. Any questions? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Pass. Privilege to the floor. Do we have a quorum here?
Yes, you do.
You do? Okay. Privilege to the floor. Anybody out along the edges would like to say anything? Any comments? All right, move on. Action agenda.
First item we have on there is a miscellaneous resolution. This is just a reimbursement for the village for the new lawnmower that was purchased last year. This comes out of deferred revenue and exceeds my amount that I can approve, which is up to $2,500, and it's happened to be $2,800. This is the lawnmower that is used specifically for the park.
Need a motion on that, Mr. Bruno, second. Mr. Casino, second.
I just want to clarify that your motion here is it's going to be a referral to finance to appropriate the funds from the deferred revenue and authorize reimbursement. to the village.
It doesn't say that here. All right, I got a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. We're up to vet coordinator.
I can turn that over to the mayor. I didn't know if he wanted to do his festival space update first or whatever one he wants to do first.
Yeah, we can do festival space update.
Okay.
I mean, after having not much this year, the grass looks fantastic.
Does.
So there's very little repairs and remediation that needs to be made. We did have an event cancel that has been sort of waffling, the Jeep Invasion. The gentleman putting it on has diagnosed with some health issues to take care of his own health before he.
Cancel.
It's canceled, yeah, unfortunately.
Can
working
you
on it.
leave us a deposit?
He did not. He had
Okay.
gotten just shy of that. We kind of earmarked the weekend for him and he got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, so he can take care of himself.
Will he come back, you
He
think?
says next year they want to come back stronger. It's POTS. I don't know if you're familiar with it. He can't regulate his blood
No, I
pressure.
never heard of it.
I'd ask that we not discuss his.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
All right. You have anything else?
We were talking about the splash pad and the playground area. Superintendent and I are gonna approach the Wood Foundation as well as the Wright Family Foundation to potentially rebuild the playground with adaptive play and what was the other term? that they use?
You're gonna ask me. now.
Inclusive and
Yeah,
adaptive.
that's
play.
it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you're taking care of that, okay.
Yeah, we were gonna meet with them. We'll probably, with the material that we received from our engineer, we'll probably just give them a quick presentation. To show them what we have and hopefully that they'll fund the project.
And how's the bookings doing this summer?
Bookings are a little light, I gotta be honest with you. We had a couple of weekends bail out on us, but we have about 7 open weekends.
Wow,
Working on a circus, Big Apple Circus or Flip Circus. They both are in the area during the months of July and August, so I've got calls into them. Shriners are booked. Entertainment One is thinking of doing another 80s concert. He's gonna get back to me on the dates. Just putting feelers out there, trying to fill it up.
we
It's,
should start now that April, May's coming, so.
yeah, I've started in January, so I'm still working on it.
Anything else? Any questions anybody has? Anybody to report? No referral pending?
Nothing, but I don't know if the mayor wants to talk about the events coordinator. I know that there was an article on paper regarding. The mayor becoming the new events coordinator. So that's why I had that sign here. I don't know if there was any more discussion.
The only discussion is our attorney said I cannot be an employee. So if it's assumed that it's the mayor's duties, you don't usually tie duties to a position like the mayor, but you can assume it. I know our attorney sent a contract amendment to Attorney Elman And I believe it was reviewed. I'm not sure where it stands.
Absent some guidance from the committee on what they want to do. I've reviewed it, but there's not much I can do until there's some guidance from the committee. So let's clarify. My understanding is today there's a contract in place which the county, the town of Lake George, and the village of Lake George are all parties to. And that contract requires the village to hire and maintain an individual in the position of events coordinator. And as a condition of having that position filled and that person being a village employee, there's a certain amount of money that the county and the town contribute toward that individual's salary and expenses, with the village making up the difference of that cost and expense. So what I received was a proposal from the village that was striking the event coordinator position, I believe, as an employee, and reclassifying that the town and the county would be providing money to the village. And that money, some money would go, I believe, to the highway supervisor. Some would go, I believe, to the mayor's administrative assistant. And then some would go to the mayor, I believe. And I had some conversations with the superintendent. But there needs to be some direction from the committee, because this is a different agreement than the current agreement that's in effect for 2025, for the 2025 season into 2026.
Might I offer just a slight correction, rather than the entire 35,000 going to the, I guess, director of special events or the assumed position, 5 would be designated to the assistant, rather than, because she deserves a bump in pay, rather than take it off the backs of the village taxpayers. We would take it from there. The other 5 was to contribute to DPW overtime, which we incur quite often, especially when we have to set the stage up or we have a larger event in the park. And then the other 25 was to go to the mayor. So it wasn't utilizing the entire thing, just to set the record straight. It wasn't utilizing the entire thing for the mayor.
Oh, and I didn't mean to, if that's what I said in my summary, I apologize.
No, I don't think
I
you
don't
did.
recall what the numbers were. I just remember that there were different payments that were going to different places.
I just want to ask the mayor is for the 5,000 for DPW overtime, why is that not going into the reimbursements that we have currently right now with the deferred revenue? Because that would be paid to the village. I mean, you have certainly our attendance hours exceed 8-hour periods and they get paid for it. But why wouldn't the overtime go into get paid out of the deferred revenue from the park?
It could.
Yeah, I
was
think-
kind of trying to be.
I think that's what
less-
that's what that was used for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we should get all this stuff put down in writing, who's
Mhm.
getting what, so that the board could look at it maybe next month, because it'll start 1st of January, so we'll get an idea.
That's for this year,
No, next year,
next year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
yes.
You know, I recognize the amount of time and effort that is put into this position, but by spreading it out, there's an accountability issue that I see. Is who's responsible for really making these events happen? And I guess I'm more in favor of having an additional person that's sole responsibility.
Well,
I don't think you'll obtain someone for that amount on a yearly basis. A professional event planner, if you could find one for 35,000 a year, I think you'd be doing pretty good.
Well, would you rather put an RFP out for that? See if anybody applies for it before we make any other
That
decisions?
would be reasonable. You know, an event coordinator, it's a part-time position. It's not a full-time position. Obviously, you know, for your position, you have other mayoral duties in addition to this. So I think I'd rather have someone that's accountable specifically for doing this. If it doesn't work out, then we find another.
Is what you're doing very similar to what the previous mayor was doing,
It's mirror image.
finding events,
Mhm.
coordinating them, yeah.
Good, Mr. Bruno?
Good.
What's the number of events you're looking at? Do you have an idea of that? Because that would have to go into this RFP.
Yeah, I would say at least a dozen. Is the target rate.
Okay.
Because you don't want to beat up the park too much. Kevin and I have had several discussions at length about it.
Right.
So yeah, 12 to 14. Currently we have 9, 8.
So you're looking at this RFP when you're sending it out, saying, part-time events coordinator and X number of events per season. Give an idea.
Yeah, I was gonna add on, there's certainly some events that are gonna be back every year. I mean, you know, unless something drastically, Americade will come back every year, and they typically have it for that 5 or 7 day period.
Tow trucks.
The tow truck
Wine
group
night,
comes
wine
back
and
every year
beer.
as well. Those are there's
There's about 6 that are pretty permanent.
staples that they'll be back every year. It's for any of the newer events. That come in, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just asking a question. The previous mayor was also doing this as an events coordinator for Shepherd's Park as well.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think he was doing it for both parks for Charles Art. So he was bringing in events in the village for both Shepherd's Park as part of his events coordinator, as well as Charles Art Park.
So this would be limited, this is Charles.
You just would.
You know,
Now, I understand how your point of view is, but an event coordinator cannot go to our DPW and order them to do something. They have to come back to me. So you're adding a link into the chain of command. Doesn't seem very efficient, but you guys want to try that? And more than welcome to. Like, I can't have an event coordinator call my DPW and pull them off of something I told them to do, because something needs to be done in Wood Park. They're not gonna have that authority.
Well, speak up, any opinion, just we gotta know.
I think that's a minor thing, because DPW is gonna be, they've done it over the years, right?
At the
It's just a
direction of the
middle-
mayor.
It's just some coordination. right? So it's just my thought, and I would like to see an RFP go out and see if we can get someone that will do this, and maybe it's a little bit more money, but it's someone that's totally related or directed towards booking these events.
Any opinion on that?
Well, he's doing what the previous mayor had done. I know it takes a lot. I mean, I do understand, Mike, you want to get, but maybe even if someone like that did come about, maybe the position is still viable for coordinating. I know his secretary does a lot of work. I see what goes on over there. For coordinating, bringing the events together and putting all the departments in place. So, maybe even would a good promoter, it's a good promoter. Yeah, someone, more established promoter, maybe you would be more of a coordinator.
So let me understand what your thoughts are. The girl in my office that's doing it now. All of that, what I do and what she does will be handled by someone else.
I'm not saying all
No,
of it.
no, not all of it.
Why would
We're not saying
why
all.
would my office staff have to be involved in it if there's no compensation to her or the village for it?
There would be, maybe there would be, maybe we could talk about a promoter at a bigger level,
Mhm.
I think. Possibly, and your office still can do the coordination of it with DPW and whatnot.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
If I could just clarify just a couple of points from a legal perspective. There's currently an agreement with the village. It's between the village, the town, and the county, and that agreement requires the village to have a village employee that's referred to as the special events coordinator. The contract runs from April 1st of each year through March of 31st. So it's really, I believe that the modifications that are being sought for the year that we're now in, this 2025 season. And the legal problem that potentially we're gonna have is that the village has not hired or filled a special events coordinator position, which is required under the intermunicipal agreement to receive the payment that'll be due sometime during this year. So that's point one. Point two, under the current agreement, this employee in this position is a village position. I don't know that, I'm uncertain of what ability this board, this committee rather, has to direct the village to do solicitations or a position offering announcement for events coordinator. You can certainly take a position regarding the contract and the terms in the agreement. But I would just suggest that if there's not agreement in doing the solicitation, I'm a little hesitant on whether this committee can really move to force it if the village is refusing to do that or fill that position. And I'm not saying the village is, I'm just speaking, I want to make sure we're all staying in the right lanes and we understand that this position is a village employee position under the current agreement. And that this committee is really a blend of a county committee. So therefore, it's a little, there's, each of the municipalities have their own autonomy.
Well, if we didn't want to do that, we'd have to kind of abolish that. And create a different position.
New contract.
Well, and that's why I believe my office received a proposed draft that struck the position of special events coordinator and proposed making the payments the way the mayor, in the amounts that the mayor had stated, in lieu of having that special events coordinator.
So just to understand, we would fund the village 35,000, 15,500 from the town. And a name would not per se be attached to that funding. It would be for a special events coordinator without,
Well, that's the current agreement.
that's the current agreement. That's the way that's
funding-
right now.
Yeah, it's a special events coordinator. And then the county contributes 15,000 and the town
Yeah.
of Lake George contributes 5,000.
Yeah.
From occupancy, at least from the county perspective, from occupancy tax revenue.
As also.
And this is why I haven't done anything with it, because it's not I can't make any policy decisions on this.
Right.
I need the committee to give some direction on what they would choose to do.
Here we are in April. And we're already in that next contract year
Yes,
without a contract.
no, there is a contract.
Right.
They're asking us to change the contract that is in
All right.
effect because it wasn't terminated on the time period required by the existing agreement.
I believe it's a 3-year contract and this is the final year.
I think that's what it is.
25 is the final year. When we're in right now.
26. Well, finishing in March
December
31st.
March
Right,
31st,
right,
exactly.
yeah.
26.
Do we want to try it and see, because we're here and funded and see how they perform? See if
All right. with me.
We evaluate it.
Let's keep it the way it is right now.
It's just It's 1 year term.
It's 1 year contract and
Last year.
Right. That would
look
be
at it.
the request of the village to modify the contract for the final year.
And
It'd basically be a trial basis.
yeah,
Will you make up something for us?
Absolutely.
On that?
We'll have it for the next.
We'll have it for the next meeting, and a little earlier maybe, so we can look at it,
I guess
instead of doing it that day.
I am a little concerned that part of this is going to the administrator who deserves a raise. But is it because of this effort or is it because of just the fact that you didn't want to burden the taxpayers?
No, it's because of the effort. She's was recently, within the last year and a half, made into a full-time position because she kind of took the reins and really has gotten the process down pat. So anytime someone comes in for something for Wood Park, she hands them the paperwork, explains how to fill it out, helps them with occupancy tax forms. She's very efficient.
was that Devonite?
Devin.
So the. Thank you. So the 5,000 that would go to DPW is going to go, Kevin is gonna go to. What fund did you reference it as?
So, no fund, so and it's not my decision, it's certainly your guys' decision, I'm just saying the deferred revenue that comes in. From the events that are at the park typically pays for attendance or lawnmower or fertilizer. I guess I'm just thinking that deferred revenue would also pay for overtime as well.
And it could, the only overtime I've ever sent to you was for the park attendant. So I don't think we've ever sent you an additional bill for overtime, setting up stage or pulling down.
Which I don't think that's often, because if they're doing the stage during the day, that would be similar to charging us for attendance, it's not overtime. Meaning, if they just did it during their normal work hours, it would just be charging us and we would pay for it under that deferred revenue that comes in from the events. And not having to take it, out of your own budget to do that, because that's what the deferred revenue from the park was supposed to pay for any maintenance in the park. It was also, there's a portion of that the 3 E's, now down to 2 E's, had the opportunity to use as well to maintain the south parcel. And that was, I don't have the agreement in front of me, but that was part of the original agreement, was that the funding that came in from the park as well would be used to enhance or maintain that south parcel, which is the conservation easement, the environmental portion of it, which we all participate in doing it, and we all get paid out of that revenue to do that.
You okay with that?
I am.
Yeah, leave it, that's being left the same as it's been, maybe change next year.
Sure.
That's what we're talking about, okay.
So I'm confused. So it was 5,000 towards the DPW.
It was designated for DPW overtime.
So what's gonna happen with that 5,000 now? Because it's going to deferred revenue.
Right, is that get
It's
Go ahead.
not, I'll back up again. It's
Does it
not
get
going
forwarded to the
deferred
village?
revenue. It's our tax money. That if you don't choose to give 5,000 to the mayor, that 5,000 of the 15,000 of the mayor, wherever it comes out of. It doesn't go into deferred revenue, it stays in your tax fund, and the deferred revenue would pay for any overtime costs.
So we just saved 5,000 for tax.
Yes, essentially.
Stays in the county yacht tax fund. Doesn't get, okay.
Okay, let me clarify, just so I know what it is the committee's desire for this to look like. I believe it's going to be that the county and the town are simply paying 5,000 for the town and 15,000 from the county to the village. These are village employees, and then the village is going to use that occupancy tax money. Are we earmarked, because the village is also contributing 15,000 and has contributed 15,000 toward that former position, or what we're saying would be a former position of events coordinator. So is it the intention for us to provide that money to the village for the purposes of managing Wood Park? We would still have the requirements that were placed on the events coordinator. I guess I'm just trying to see if we're if we need to dig into how that money is going to be allocated by the village, or are we just giving the money to the village as occupancy tax for the purposes of management of Wood Park? Which, from a legal perspective, is much cleaner
No, that's the right way.
than doing, like subcategories for the money, but again, it's the committee's decision. Or, and the village is ultimately too, because they'll be a party to the agreement in the town.
Is that okay with everyone here? The way
Yeah.
it's explained?
All right,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. So you'll write up a resolution for that for next meeting?
Yep, I'll have a draft amendment agreement for the next committee meeting.
Thank you.
Is that all right with everybody in the committee? We don't have to physically vote on it now. We'll vote on it when it comes in. All right. All right, so we'll open it up to any privilege of the floor out there. Anybody have any questions on what we're doing? Last chance, anybody to go and have anything? Okay, how about a motion to adjourn?
So
All
moved.
right, Mr. Bruno, Mr. Casito,